live from the beautiful Baseball Talk Radio studios. I'm in the north one, and Rich is in the south one. I'm Gary Mack, and welcome to another edition of the Baseball Talk Radio show. And as I said, I am joined, as usual, by the great Rich Baxter. Rich, how are you today?
Doing great, Gary. Happy Memorial Day weekend to you and all of our listeners out there across the country. And you're outside of this country. Happy weekend to you anyway. New end of the month, May. Here, as Gary said, we're broadcasting live from the Baseball Talk Radio Show studios, east and south. And at least we have a great weather weekend lined up for Sunday and Monday. It's a holiday across America on Monday. And we remember our fallen heroes here in the United States, U.S. military personnel who have died in the U.S. Armed Forces. Used to be observed on May 30th every year from 1868 to 1970, Gary. And then right after that, they figured let's make it the last Monday in May. So here we are already for Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, that's when they screwed up all the holidays, if you remember, Rich, and took them all and gave them Monday dates so there'd be a long weekend, and and created President's Day, and we used to be off for Lincoln's birthday on February 12th and Washington's birthday on the 22nd. And now it's who God knows what. It's the third Monday or something or other. So that they kind of screwed up all the original dates of the day, but as you said, it is a day to remember all of the fallen heroes that have passed and given up their lives for us, essentially for our freedom, and we honor them. And um, uh, people used to sometimes they get it mixed up with Veterans Day, and Veterans Day is a completely different holiday, which is earlier in the year. So, yeah, it's also, Rich, the unofficial beginning of summer, and a lot of landmarks, especially in the game of baseball, are connected to Memorial Day. You'll see a lot of stats about teams that are in the lead by Memorial Day and blah blah blah, and get ready for that. But it's the unofficial opening of summer, and Rich, can you believe the baseball season is flowing right along?
Yeah, about a quarter of the way through already, and it's a long season. It's a 6 month plus season, as hockey is and basketball is. So, yeah, we're well in the first quarter mark of the season. And if you're looking for those uniforms for the camo this weekend, you're not going to find them on the baseball fields. We celebrated that last weekend on the 21st was Armed Forces Day, and MLB made the switch during the COVID time on us. If you remember, on Memorial Day, most of the time was when they wore the caps, the camo, the redesigned Memorial Day type caps. But today, we're just going to see a little patch on the uniforms uh, commemorating Memorial Day, maybe a logo on the hats. There, as you see, if you're watching us on the YouTube or Facebook stream, the video stream of this show, that's all we're going to have this year around. You're not going to see the camouflage. We've already seen that on the 21st, and as Gary told us last weekend, MLB will not be selling these jerseys with these patches or the hats with the Memorial Day logos on them this year.
It's probably not a bad move. I think they got a lot of criticism for selling all of this stuff. It does go to good causes, but it becomes a bit much for the fan. I mean, to keep up on this stuff, and we all know people that like to have all the stuff and support this kind of thing, and it just gets to be too much after a while, and so I don't think it's a bad idea that they're showing the reverence. They're showing that they're
Oops.
honoring the day, and do it in a more simplistic manner, and I think that's fine. I think it's done tastefully, and I don't see a problem with it at all.
Very cool. Yeah, I sort of like the pomp and circumstance of the hats as we talked about last week. I'm still on the fence of getting one, even this week. Haven't pulled the trigger yet, though. So I'll find out if I do that today. But yeah, it's a double-edged sword. Anytime a big organization like MLB does something, they're going to have a lot of people that are for it, a lot of people that are against it. At least they're doing the Armed Forces Day celebration and keeping somewhat of the camo and things like that in the mix for fans that like that stuff. There's only so much you could do every year to change a hat around
Hmm.
and make it appealing for you to buy. But as you said, it goes towards a good. Uh, the charity organizations get a lot of that money for those camo hats, so it's a nice purchase for you to make, and you're helping something else in the meantime.
I think they ran into the problem too, though. They're honoring the armed forces, which was what, last weekend or 2 weekends ago.
Yeah, the 21st, which was
I
last weekend.
Right. And now this weekend it's Memorial Day, and in what, 2 or 3 weeks it's going to be Father's Day, and it's too many bunched up. I mean, they had Mother's Day, and then they had Armed Forces right after that, real close. So it's that's four different type of hats, if you will, or uniforms that you'd have within a month and a half span. And then July 4th if they offer a hat. So it's too much. It's just too much for people to keep up with. And look, I know I bought a July the 4th hat 2 years ago, and the thing is perfect, and I only wear it on July the 4th, and I'm not interested in getting another one now. So I think that's what happened with a lot of people. They bought a nice style that they liked, um, and then how often can you change these things? I mean, they tried different things, and there was a couple years there didn't like the style. I liked the first style they put out was really sharp, and then the next couple I didn't like, and then they came out with one that was pretty good and pretty close to the first one. That's the one I bought. And but there's only so much you can do, and then after a while, people just stop buying the thing because they have enough. And so I think it's the same thing with Father's Day and the Mother's Day, and
Yeah,
and it
it's
it it just gets to be too much.
yeah, and it's hard for the designers too. Every year they're trying to tweak here, tweak there. So you want to buy these caps, and but a nice patch on all the uniforms. Almost sort of like England would do something like this, lest we forget.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty cool. And it's keeping within the holiday and, not militarizing it, but, we're remembrance, so to speak.
Right.
So that's a cool way to think about it.
And yeah, and I think it's the right way to go about it.
Yeah, well, in conjunction with that, just the other day, the Yankees and the Rays were taken to social media, and they sort of jumped on something that was happening on that day. Of course, the tragedy with the school shooting in Texas, but they were so moved by it on Thursday night, they teamed up off the field for a sobering cause. Um, did not post anything about the games that night. Went back and forth about, you know, gun violence and things like that from both accounts, which is a shame. And it's very sobering. Do I agree with it? No, I don't. Unfortunately, I don't agree with what they did with this. Um, though their heart was in the right place, I think it was totally wrong.
Hmm. Yeah, I can't. I have to agree with you. And on another front, with this, San Francisco Giants manager Gabe Kapler told reporters ahead of his team's Friday night game that he intends to forego the pregame U.S. national anthem moving forward. He says, I don't plan on coming out on the for the anthem until I feel better about the direction of our country. Um, he made these comments as well in a written statement on his website, sharing his thoughts about the 19 children and 2 adults that were killed at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, by a lone 18-year-old nut job. Um, he goes on. You can look at his blog post. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. He goes on and on. But I don't think that's the best way to protest it. Uh, it's your decision. You're allowed to protest. He's allowed to have his own opinion and his blog post. He definitely did and stated it, and that's fine. But I don't agree with it, and I don't agree that you sit out for the anthem as a protest. I think it's disrespectful, and it's kind of a contradiction in terms because here we are on Memorial Day, you know, memorializing the people that have died for the flag and in a way that anthem, and here he's not even coming out for it to protest. It's kind of a contradiction there. But look, I think Tony La Russa said that he doesn't agree with it either, but he has the right to do it, and he does. But I think it's a silly thing. Unfortunately, the event that happened, and it happens all over this country, and we care about these shootings, and we should. But we don't care about the children getting killed in the streets of Chicago or in the streets of New York by gangs and stuff. And look, they want to. The people want to, get rid of guns and stuff. The guns didn't walk into that school by themselves. They were carried by somebody. And going into the gun manufacturers, it's all kinds of crazy stuff. They're making a living. They're employing people, and people need guns for certain things. There are parts of this country that are rural. They need a gun to keep predators away from their livestock that feed us. They need guns to hunt sometimes so they can eat. They need guns for other things. And it's getting to the point in this country because people are looking the other way and they want to defund the police that we're all going to need guns to defend ourselves because they're putting so many straps on the police and tying their hands that the cops don't want to do anything. A lot of cops, I'm not surprised if a cop looks the other way if he sees a crime going down because he don't want to get involved. And this is what we caused. We caused that, not the police, not the police union. We caused it because of these stupid idiots with their defund the police and get rid of the police. What kind of society would we have without a police force?
Yeah, believe it or not, there was a local matter that took place in South Jersey. A guy went into a dollar store with a gun, brandished it, pulled off a round in the store. He was mentally unstable, obviously, God knows what, you know, the truth was, but he came out of the store, made a movement like he was going to get his gun, and the police shot him. 15,
Good
18,
for
20
them.
rounds. But they didn't kill him, unbelievably. I mean, you had 15 or 20 rounds being shot at a guy. That's why there is a higher power up there. And for his sake, he wasn't killed.
Hmm.
But yet his family's defending him, trying to make a media story out of it, which went nowhere. I
Yeah.
mean, how can you
Yeah.
defend somebody that's going to threaten people with a gun and squeeze a round off in a store? I mean, that's crazy.
And Rich, Chicago has the toughest gun laws in the country, and still their crime rate is out of their way. The thing that none of these left wing politicians seem to realize is that the gun laws only affect the good people. The bad people are gonna find a way to get a gun. They'll build it themselves if they have to, but they're gonna. Remember, no, you're a little too young, maybe, but back in the 50s and 60s, the gangs used to have these zip guns, they called them, that they built themselves, and you know the politicians miss this. That the guns that are killing these people, they're not all legal. In this case, it was legal. He bought the guns. Well, what are you supposed to do? He followed the laws. How
And
much?
there's millions and millions and millions of legal gun owners that are competent, keep
Exactly.
care of their weapons across the country, as you said, in the major cities and the small cities. There's many issues within the country to be upset about. But Kapler going out on a wing for this specific thing, he didn't do it 2 years ago when there was lawlessness throughout this country. And I don't want to make this the point of our podcast today, and we'll wrap it up real soon. But this country was out of control 2 years ago, and did he say much then? No.
You mean the summer of love?
That'll be looked upon like the late '60s riots someday, maybe. But
Ah, they just swept it under the rug. They didn't want it to be. The left didn't want it to be out there, so they swept it under the rug,
it's
and
forgotten.
they forgot that was protesting. But January 6th was an insurrection. Ooh, an insurrection. Of course, my favorite thing though still is the reporter from MSNBC standing there in the street with burning buildings behind him, and he's going, well, it's mostly peaceful out here. People are a little upset. It's peaceful. And he had buildings are burning. People are running crazy in the streets with rocks and stuff. And this guy's going, well, it's mostly peaceful out here in Minnesota.
Yeah.
That tells you everything about the media. It tells you everything about what they thought about it, the left, and just craziness. But as you say, let's not beat a dead horse. Let's get off of this matter. And in
And
that
by
same,
and by the way, we want to extend our condolences to
of
the
course,
people of Texas and the families. And it's horrible. It's
it's a terrible
horrible.
thing.
I
Terrible.
mean, but as Gary said, I don't think you're ever going to stop a nut. Okay, can we stop 16 nuts that brought down two World Trade Tower centers and killed 3,000 people? No. We could
That's right.
try to prevent it, but you're going to have people trying these things all the time. So before we get on our soapbox,
Well, one more thing before we go. What I don't understand, Facebook, if you put something that they don't agree with, within seconds, they're either throwing you in Facebook jail, kicking you off, or taking your post down and saying it's not appropriate within seconds.
yeah,
Yet this guy put things up, pictures with an AR-19 or AR-15, whatever it is, and nothing is done. Nothing is said. there
Yeah.
should be some mechanism for that as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
if
you really should be held to the standard of being saying that in person to somebody. You know, a lot of this is anonymous stuff that goes on online. He was not anonymous, but you know, if you see something like this, you got to report it. You got to try to preempt it. Try to stop it if you can, but I don't think
exactly,
there's stopping a madman like that. There's no stopping somebody like
no,
that.
no,
In Europe, guy was going through a supermarket shooting arrows a couple weeks ago or a
right.
week
Well,
ago.
let's ban the arrows.
But you know, it's terrible. But
It's awful.
getting back to baseball and the Memorial Day weekend, well, we had some more fights on the field, and not just the team fights. Gary, this is a strange story here. Do you want to segue into it?
Well, Cincinnati Reds outfielder Tommy Pham was suspended for 3 games and an undisclosed fine for his inappropriate conduct prior to Friday's game against the Giants. It was reported his suspension was retroactive to Friday night's contest, and the remaining 2 games will be served Saturday and Sunday. Uh, what happened was he went up to Giants outfielder Jock Peterson. They met out in left field. Peterson said Pham confronted him and slapped him on the face over a dispute involving the Fantasy Football League that included both players as participants last year. Several players intervened in the situation. Both clubs and bullpens empty. Apparently, Peterson pulled the player. Um, well, here's his quote. I put a player on the injured reserve when they were listed as out, and then added another player. And then there was a text message in the group saying that I was cheating because I was stashing players on my bench. Then I looked up the rules and sent a screenshot of the rules, how it says that when a player is ruled out, you're allowed to put them on the IR. That's all I was doing. It just so happened that he had a player who was out. He had him on the IR, and I said, you literally have the same thing on your team, on your bench. So it feels very similar to what I did, and that was basically all of it. There's not much more to it. Now, Pham said that he also made derogatory statements about his former team and just total bad blood, it seems, between the two. And my question is, baseball isn't a fantasy football league in a way gambling? And
Yeah.
I thought baseball had such strict rules about gambling. Apparently, you know, what happened to that? I mean, so it's okay to bet on a fantasy football league? I don't know. I don't understand it anymore, but that's basically what this came down to. Pham got ticked off over this or whatever words were exchanged, and he smacked Peterson in the face.
And
I
Peterson acknowledged that there was some quote unquote big money involved in the fantasy football league. That's what fantasy football has devolved into. Money leagues, some of which are very big. So, yeah, it is a form of gambling. And we saw what happened with 2 players. Now that MLB has embraced gambling, you can't tell me that down the road or sometime soon, money's going to find its way to certain people, and there's going to be certain things happen within games that you may realize and you may not. They're going to be throwing games at some point.
Well, I hope they don't, but it just seems very strange that they make this thing about gambling but fantasy league and DraftKings and all of these other things, it cracks me up. You watch a pregame show now, and then they have the and I don't I don't know if it's me, my age, or what. I don't understand now. It used to be 3 to 1 or 2 to 1 the odds or something. Now they have all of this plus 1,200 plus 800. I don't know what that means. Does that mean they're the favorites or what?
Well,
But
plus
they
1,200 would be not a favorite. That would mean you would have to bet $100 and you would get $1,200 back. That's
okay.
plus 1,200. If it was minus 1,200, you'd have to put up $1,200 to win $100.
Oy, oy, oy. I've
So
never understood any of that because I don't
that's
bet.
yeah,
I don't
that's the
bet.
odds. So
Yeah.
minus 200, if you see that, is you'd have to put up $200 to win $100. Or minus 600 would be you'd have to put up $600 to win $100. It's all based on $100 winning.
Okay. But I guess my point is this, though. The pregame shows for Major League Baseball teams now give you these kind of odds, and they give you different things. If it's plus 500 if whether or not this guy's going to get a hit tonight.
Or two,
Uh,
yeah.
uh, well, isn't that gambling?
Yeah, it certainly
I mean,
is.
that's gambling. So you know what they've done? It seems to me, is they've taken it and they've taken the positive side. In other words, uh, instead of how can I word this? Instead of telling a guy not to get a hit, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it just seems like they've cleaned it up to make it sound happy and nice and
Yeah.
well, he gets a hit, you get money.
Yeah, and
Um,
it's that's so schlocky and so I don't know. It's so what I don't like about the way gambling has interwoven itself into these sports teams, the pregame and postgames. As you said, there's a show on MLB Network now on betting odds and things. It's a little pathetic in a way.
and yet Pete Rose cannot get into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
It doesn't make sense to me anymore.
even though I was on board for it, and I still am in a certain respect, but I don't like the way it's being presented. I don't like the closeness within the league, the money that the league gets. It's Bally Sports bought out Fox Sports in some cities now. It's Bally Sports TV. Gambling has a big arm. It's got a lot of money to it, and they weave their way into everything, and eventually it'll weave their way into the players and influencing outcomes of games. That's just my own opinion, but we'll see what happens on that.
Well, I think some of the leagues actually have a share of some of these companies as well.
Yeah. And it's hard to
I
win on these games because you may win once or twice or three times, then think you know what you're doing, and you're going to lose more than you can afford to lose. And I'm sure
hmm
somebody out there has had that happen to them more than once. A lot of younger people that are into easy money, quote unquote, making easy money. Maybe you can make it a few times here and there, but in the long run, you're going to lose.
No, and that's always happened, whether it be at the slots, at the card tables, or what. But you're 100% right, and this is just making it easier because you can do it right on your phone. And I love these other games on your phone that now you can play bingo and win big bucks, and they always show the people win. They never show the people losing. They only
Yeah,
show you the people getting a bingo or
or
hitting the
millions.
jackpot on the slot machine on the phone.
Yeah,
They never show you the people that are not getting any money. so,
that's true. The
um,
silent
you know,
majority.
yeah, yeah. It's just I don't know. It's just Everything's got to be easy now, and it's got to be right there for everybody, and it's not a good thing, I don't think. But
No. Well, in other baseball news, Gary, longtime catcher, all-star 4 years, Russell Martin officially announced his retirement on his
mm,
Instagram page. He thanked many people who helped support him throughout his career. 14 major league seasons he's played before retiring. 17th round pick for the Dodgers, 2020 or 2002 rather, and spent his first 5 major league seasons and his final season, which was 2019, by the way, in Dodger blue. So he's just now taking to retiring for his career.
yeah, good catcher, clutch hitter once in a while. He could get those clutch hit. Great leader, terrific, really good catcher, and really led a couple of good teams there. Got them into the playoffs, and he was, not with great teams all the time. Did spend some time with the Dodgers. I think he did a stint with the Yankees, stint with the Blue Jays. Don't know who else, but a good leader. I think we'll see him around as a coach or a manager someday. So good for him, Russell Martin. And how many years did he play? Does it say?
It says, let's see, 14 MLB seasons.
14 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Catches. That's a long time for a catcher. It's and he didn't play other positions much. I don't believe he played anything else. So that's a long career.
Yes, it is. And you have some news on longtime reliever. This I find amazing.
Dallas Keuchel. Yeah. 2 years out of being I believe it was the Cy Young Award winner or finalist. Dallas Keuchel designated for assignment by Chicago. He struggled the last year and this year, and they just decided to cut him loose. And you have to wonder. There are some teams. Our good friend Jeff Cohen of Baseball and Barbecue podcast. By the way, go check it out. Him and Len Aberman do a great job on that. Uh, he dropped me a line and said, "Wonder if the Mets should take a chance." The Mets have 3 starters out right now, and it may not be a bad thing to take a chance on him and see what he could do. He can't do much worse than what Thomas Sapucki did the other night, giving up 9 runs in an inning and a third. So, uh, we'll see what happens. I mean, there are other teams that have a shot at getting him as well, probably, but we'll see. But really, it was kind of a shock to see that Keuchel was designated for assignment by the White Sox.
Yeah, he signed a 3-year, $55 million deal, and still owed 14.1 million on this one. So we'll see if a team does pick him up here. And I think you're right, Gary. One of these teams is going to pick him up, and it could very well be the Mets.
And it's not going to cost much, so that's why I would think somebody would pick him up, take a chance, and see. Look, if he doesn't work out, you DFA him then yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it could be a worthy opening for even if he eats innings. If he doesn't necessarily pitch well, if he could pitch decent. Now, especially from the Mets' point of view, if he could pitch decent and eat up some innings, just to buy time until these guys get back. Because let's face it, if they come back and they come back healthy, that's going to be like making a huge trade for the Mets. I mean, they'll be getting 2 of the best pitchers in baseball back in hopefully July. So that's going to be like a big boom to them. Whether they'll pitch okay is another story, but still, to get two Cy Young Award winners back in July is like, that's a big pick me up for a team, and so they've just got to wade through this next month and uh, you know keep hitting and hope they get decent pitching to keep the head above water to make it until these guys can get back. I think Tyler McGill, one of the guys who was pitching well and got injured, he's due back. He should be back in a week or so, I would think, and so that'll help ease some of the situation. Another young guy stepped up, David Peterson. He's pitched pretty well, so they've been weathering the storm, as it were. Well,
Yeah,
but still, if you can always use another arm in there, so it might be worth the effort to pick him up.
that's true. And a lot of other teams feel the same way, I'm sure. We'll have to see who ends up with him. Well, someone that end up with a great rare Mike Trout card. This is a feel good story, Gary. We started off on a terrible note with sadness and things like that. Hopefully, we'll go out of this nice and happy for the weekend. Young guy. It was a snow day for Ron and Christy Ferrante's three children at home in Connecticut on January 7th. So Ron decided to go to Walmart to buy 2 boxes of Topps holiday baseball cards to liven things up and give the kids something to do. His sons, Joey and Jake, became fans of card collecting thanks to their grandfather. So what they did was, out of one of those boxes, they pulled a limited edition autographed Mike Trout card that was only one of 10 created by Topps. So they opened the card, came out with a rare autograph card,
Oh.
and ended up getting flown out to Anaheim upon Mike Trout finding this out. And he sent a direct message to the father asking if the family would be interested in coming out to an Angels game to meet him and spend time down on the field before the game. The family couldn't believe the request and accepted it without hesitation as they tried to get to a new ballpark every season. So, great feel-good story there, Mike Trout, giving a
So
lifetime of memories to these kids.
that wasn't part of finding the card.
No, that was not
He
included.
did that on his own.
Mike Trout just happened to come upon the story, took it upon himself to personally contact the dad and invite the family out on him
Wow.
to go see the Anaheim Angels play baseball and, of course, get these great pictures in the dugout with Mike Trout. So you're not going to
That's
probably see that on
fantastic.
TV, but nice guy he is, Mike Trout.
What a thrill that's got to be, whether you're an Angels fan or not. I mean, we're talking about arguably the best player in the game,
Yeah,
and to go meet him like that, and a future Hall of Famer, and wow, that is really cool, and that's the kind of guy he is. I guess they say he's a nice guy, and
yeah.
excuse me. There you go. I mean, that's just. I thought when you first told me about the story, I thought it was part of the thing. You found the card and Tops would
Yeah,
fly out, and
like
all
a
of
Willy Wonka type of thing,
Yeah,
the golden,
yeah,
the golden
yeah,
ticket.
the golden ticket. But to find out that it's not, and that Trout took it. Well, wow,
Yeah.
that's just great. That's
Yeah.
terrific.
Locally within the Philadelphia area, which of course Trout makes his home in the off season in Millville, New Jersey, which is where he grew up. He sent a personalized message to a local weatherman that retired after 28 years on the job. We all know Mike Trout loves the weather and he goes on the Weather
Yeah.
Channel all the time, but he even made his day with a personal message to a guy who was retiring locally here in Philadelphia. So great
Terrific.
stories there for Memorial Day weekend 2022. Gary, one more note before we get out of here. The UCLA baseball team scored an unlikely victory the other night, scoring 9 runs in the bottom of the ninth for an unlikely comeback win. And that's baseball, isn't it? You can go from
Yep.
0 to hero in a half inning.
Yeah, you certainly can. And Rich, one more story, if I might, before we
Sure.
leave, as you say. Jake Berger had homered prior to the fifth inning of Saturday night's contest between his White Sox and the Cubs at Guaranteed Rate Field. 4 times to be exact, over 129 career plate appearances, Berger had hit home runs, but he had never gone deep on National Hamburger Day. So it's National Hamburger Day, and Jake Berger hit a home run. So you don't see that every day, that's for sure, or
That's
every
for sure.
year. And we gotta announce these national days. Earlier. I didn't know it was National Hamburger Day.
National
So
Burger Day. Hey, we got to rely on those restaurants to get us in there
I'll
and,
tell you, yeah,
take advantage of these things.
one of my favorite foods
So Jake Berger goes deep on National
on,
Burger Day.
on National Burger Day.
That's his day.
That's right.
That's awesome. All right. Well, we hope everyone has a great weekend. Go out and make it fun, exciting, stay safe, enjoy, watch a lot of baseball, and above all, have that burger even though it's not National Burger Day. Go out and find one.
Have a belated National Burger Day.
Yep, I'll say goodbye to Facebook here as we disconnect off of our live stream. Hope you enjoyed it, everyone. Hit like and subscribe for us, will you? Share us with your friends. And
Yeah.
I guess that's the end of the program. Did I hit done on everything? No. For the rest of us out there, you have a great week, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, see you next time on another edition of the Baseball Talk Radio Show.